And welcome back for another night. 37 Days of Dwarf. And we've got to go back and replace this section of stockpile to make sure nothing gets put in here, obviously. We don't have any trees growing up right over the fortress now, do we? No, that would be bad. We probably don't have a lot of praise to cut, but we'll cut it.
You need to build me something. It's for the good of the fortress.
Spears and warhammers. Boy, we got lucky with our mayor and our baron. I think we're going to keep them both. What are the odds? And make sure this bad boy is hooked up to all the floor hatches. Doesn't look like he's gotten all 4 of them yet. Yeah, he's still got one link job being done. Okay, we're good there. Make sure our noble flushing system is up to par. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. And let's see if our hatches and our bridge are doing what they ought. This should go up right here. Yep, that's good. That's where we want it. And then above that on this floor here, these hatches should vanish once this is pulled there. And the hatches go away. Good, so we're ready to go. And the hope here is that we will suspend these two tiles of job and we will get a guy who will stand on the staircase when he builds this. We're hoping, we're hoping. Let's cross our fingers because we really don't want to have to do this the long way if we can avoid it.
We come here in hopes of a better life.
And I'm going to cross my fingers and hope my friend that's flying out will be okay. Did get to see him this weekend. I had a supply line blow on a water heater. Fun week. And someone's coming along now with our block to get this done. Don't normally like to watch single constructions like this, but this one's kind of important. A dwarf who stands in here while he's building that wall will seal himself in to an area that will fill with water and where he would drown. We don't want that. So we've got to be a little careful about how they are handling these particular tasks. Now that that's sealed up there, we don't have to worry about anybody getting into the fill space here. That's good. Now that all that's left is to make sure that we wall off this section here from the fort proper. I'm hoping that will work the way we want it. They should stand on the north side since that's where the blocks are and do this thing, but if they do it wrong, we'll have a problem, so we'll see. And we're hoping that that will hustling the table jobs along so we can get the noble's dining room up and done. Because he's still pissed about not having a dining room. We still need to clean the rest up, but more importantly, we need to get him his room. Let's make sure this completes the way it needs to. Someone has left a perfectly good sheep wool cap in the middle of the hallway for some reason. At least somebody come along and got it. There we go, and there's our seal to make sure that the wall is up. Good. Now, no one can get into this service space anymore. It's all been walled off. There's no access to it any longer. So that should mean that we are ready to go with tests. And by tests, I mean making sure that we can properly fill the intake here. We go down, we go over, we come up, we bubble up, and we need to seal these off. So let's get rid of the kill switch because it's on. Shut the hatches so we're not accidentally killing our noble before we're ready. There we go. And with this done, we now should be ready to drop our flood into this container here. So let's tap some water. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what this crafter is doing up here on a ledge with no particular reason to be here. Dehydrating for some reason, despite the fact that there's an easy path back to the fortress. With a big pile of coins that we apparently brought up here on the surface for some reason. I'm not even sure why these coins would all be here. What the fuck? It's just like every coin we... Okay. I'm guessing a bunch of people decided to... shit, I don't know. There's no real good reason why they would ever bring the coins out here. There's not even a real good reason to take them out here in the first place. I have no idea what they were doing to bring the coins up here at all. Also, those must be some really heavy coins, given how slowly this guy is moving with it. Okay, let's check on our water here, and as you can see, it's draining out. Now, it's going to be a little slow because it's crossing a fair... This tunnel is actually, 6 or 7 squares long, so it's a fairly sizable tunnel. But it will descend down through here and bubble up into this. Now, my hope is that we will get enough flow that we won't have to worry so much about evaporation. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope this is sufficient. We're hoping. We're really hoping. There's a lot of water to drain out still, so we've still got a fair bit of flow. As long as we can get it up to a level of 2 across the board, it won't be a problem. But the water bubbling up through there is exactly the effect we were looking for, so we're off to a good start so far. Now, if we made this catch pocket too big, it might be the case that the water we were pouring down into it would bubble up here and evaporate before we were actually able to retain it. That would be bad. We don't want that either. So we're hoping that we can get a little more flow in here. The number of 2s continues to increase. The number of 1s spreads out across the entire surface. That's what we want. Not going to be close. We'll either get it or we won't. At this point, it's looking like we're going to. Because the 1s have covered everything, and the number of 2s is continuing to increase slowly. But it's worth noting that this pond is not sufficiently large to actually drain the pond and fill our catch pocket. So it'll take multiple drainings or a rainstorm with the drains open like this. Let's see how full it gets here. The good news is we are going to outrun evaporation. Barely. Looks like we'd get about half of a reservoir fill from our pond in one go. Sparring is really starting to take off. That's good stuff. Lots of productive martial work. It looks like some of these folks who are unfocused about their martial training and practicing skills are going to get the chance to do some of those things. Hopefully the sparring will constitute a fight and some excitement, we hope. But if not, then we can certainly provide that in a bit. Friends and family need I can't really do much about. Sure, the Diamond of Luxury and Thabost both have a temple, but let's check. There's the Diamond of Luxury, and I don't see. There's Thabost, so yeah, he's in the list too. We're good there. focus is pretty good. A lot of religious need focus not being met here. And pull our new dwarves into those civilian squads. Well, apparently they've cleaned up the coin smear now. I'm not sure why it was ever up here in the first place, but they have in fact managed to clean them up, collect them, and bring them back downstairs for processing. Which is good, but, you know, still not sure why they were smeared across the entire surface to begin with. Which is bad. So, you know, there's that. Had to check. I hadn't actually queued up the Warhammer and the Spear jobs, and apparently our job orders have taken care of those, and our mayor and Baron are getting their needs met regardless. Isn't that awesome? And we're still kind of short on our iron at the moment. I was kind of hoping to get some melting done here and get caught up, but we're not getting there yet, are we? Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Still lots of coin melting jobs to be done. Doesn't look like we're melting them down quite as fast as I had hoped. Where are all these bronze coins at? Bins like they should be? Yeah, they're stored in the bins. I wonder if we turned off the melt jobs. Bet that's what our issue is. We did, didn't we? Let's see if we get some folks doing jobs now.
A baby's been born.
Well, thank goodness they told us about that magma crab that gave birth to triplets. We wouldn't have known what to do with our magma crab if it weren't for that. Give me a second here, guys. I need to take care of something real fast. I'll be right back. Let's take a look at our raw food stockpile. Make sure that's doing okay. Looks like we got room for the drink still. That's good. Take a look through Auto Butcher. Make sure our animals are getting taken care of. All good here. Bounce back down to the public spaces. See if our room value is high enough for our royal dining room. I don't think it is yet. I think it's still grand. We'll have to really bust out to get it higher than that, I think. Let's check on our engravers. They're getting there. Okay. And it looks like they have completed the bedrooms, so we need another set of tasks to keep them busy. So we'll just have them smooth the entire fortress from top to bottom for now. Okay, he needs his bedroom and his office improved. Bedroom and office improved. Bedroom and office improved. Okay, at least we know what we're doing now, right? All right. Okay, and let's smooth these while we're at it. All right, now give them a minute to get caught up because there's a lot of engraving for to do. Welcome on board, guys. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Now, if there were a way other than turning off engraving for all my lower skilled engravers to have just the high skilled engraver do this room, I would do that. But if the only way I can do that is actually just shut off engraving for a time, and that means they're not improving, so I don't want that. So we're just going to set them loose on the fortress as a whole and go from cave to smoothed fortress. Sparring is continuing. That's good stuff. Let's check. I don't think we ever set up a clothing industry, did we? I think we set the jobs up. Sure we set the jobs up, in fact, but I don't think they actually have any place to do them. So we should probably fix that. All right, We'll store all of our armor and clothing here in one stockpile, since the dwarves will need to go get it anyway. And we're still getting a few rope reeds planted, so we do have some good turnover through our drinks section. Let's look at the kitchen. Oops. Yeah, we're getting a good turnover of river spirits now. If we can just work them through over and over again a few times, we're going to end up with a substantial quantity of rope reeds on hand. Let's go ahead and start processing some of those things to thread. What do you say? There we go, and that'll get those jobs queued up to be processed down to thread. In addition to brewing them to make more seeds, we can also process them, of course, and we want seeds either way we can get them. So let's go ahead, if the kitchens aren't taking them, let's go ahead and put them through the thread process and get our clothing industry started. Right, get those Farmers Workshop jobs queued up so we can get some of this backlog processed down. So all you folks who've wandered in, is there something you want to see? Some way you want to see, or something you want to see about how I do things in the fortress? Let's check on our pond here, make sure we're not draining it. Yeah, see, we're getting a little low on the pond, so let's seal that bad boy back up and cross our fingers that we haven't gone too far down. I think it's this one, but I want to make sure. Did I make a well? Of course I made a well. I didn't just make a well, I made 4 wells. Well, that's not technically true. I haven't actually made the wells yet. I've designated the area for the wells. I really want to get some gold blocks and gold chains and do it up right, but we haven't got that far. So we have an area that's for water. It's right here, right off the hospital. but it's not technically a proper well yet. I've got it dug, it's plenty deep enough, it holds more than enough water, no problem. There's not actually a well building sitting on it yet. Respect for the dead? Yeah, my respect for the dead is you get a box, you get a niche, you go in the box in the niche, and then we forget you existed. If you're a vampire or some other convicted criminal of ill repute, well, then we have something for you specifically. Criminals of ill repute stand out here on this bridge that's not really extended right at the moment, that you can see the shadow of when we go up above it. Criminals of ill repute stand on the bridge. Then we remove the bridge. And then they become magma knots. But we didn't just make a well. No. We made a well and a way to get rid of nobles at the same time. You see, our pond up here is the only source of water we have above the caverns. This is it. We've got these two little ponds, and I guess technically there's a little tiny one way up here somewhere. Little tiny pond. Where was it? There it is. Way over here on the far side of the map from where we are. There's that little pond there. That's the solar. Those two ponds. Excuse me. No, that's not water. I thought it was. Those two sets of ponds are really the only source of water we have outside the caverns. So, oh, I missed one over here too. There's another one on the trees. A little tiny one over there. So, we have opted to make best use of them, basically, and get as much value out of that little tiny source of water as we can. Now, I may have hit it up a little hard here. It's a little lower than I would have liked, and it may evaporate more than I would hope. We'll hope for some rainfall to get it resettled. But if all they give me is ponds, I can still make a well. We could have pumped it up from the caverns. We could have drained water out of the caverns in to make a similar well. This was easier. It's gravity fed, and I'm a big fan of gravity fed water supplies whenever possible. Don't pump, let gravity do the work. But water from our pond here drops down a set of intakes. There are two here, side by side. This first intake is for the well, and the second intake is for our drowning nobles. The well intake, as you can see, is quite full. Goes all the way down here to our well, drops through a pressure regulator into the well chamber with a drain at the bottom in case for some reason we ever need to drain the well out. The other intake stops a little short, drops down this corridor, stops here, goes across, bubbles up into the drowning chamber. Well, the funny thing is I started to build this. We got a noble appointed right away, like a baron. And I started building this thinking, oh shit, we've got a noble. You know how that's going to go. But our mayor wants spears, and our baron wants warhammers. And those are not things I export. So if they continue to demand warhammers and spears, we will happily consent to their demand forever. Because I want my militia equipped. And those are not likely things to be sold. So we're not likely to run into export mandates on them either. So I built this little chamber right above, this little, so let's finish up here. Reservoir full of water, directly above two drop shafts. This is service area that's sealed off. Nobody can get in here now. It drops down into this chamber here, which is the noble's quarters. Now, of course, water will immediately go down these staircases to the bottom level where the drain is. But we've sealed the drain, and so it will quickly fill up these staircases and then backfill into the noble's quarters. Everything in the noble's quarters is immediately given access to the incoming water. That is to say, water emerges from every corner of every room at the same time. It doesn't matter where you hide. It doesn't matter which doors you may have closed. Our water is coming in, and you are in it. If we wanted to get rid of a noble, all we would have to do is seal up our little doors here once our noble was inside where we wanted him, flip a lever right off the dining room, and the water comes in. When the water has finished doing those things that we need it to do, we just flip this bridge off and on a few times, and all the water is sucked out of the noble quarters, and they are ready for use once more. If we really want to get salty about it, we tell him it's no longer his tomb before we drown him. He can stand in there and look at the coffin that will never be his. And in the meantime, our engravers have a lot of smoothing to do. But if we can get them just a little happier with their offices and bedrooms, because we've got them, they just aren't quite up to where we want them in terms of furnishings at the moment, then we will be very satisfied, I think. Of course, that's probably about when the Queen Consort's going to start showing up and demanding crystal glass bird figurines or something equally improbable. We demand shell crafts. What do you mean there's no water anywhere on this map? Bring us shell crafts. Right this way to the ocean front, Your Majesty. Now, of course, with a volcano present, I was tempted to engage in a little magma shenanigans with respect to our noble rooms, but I kind of reconsidered. Magma is certainly doable. You can do everything that I'm going to do here with water with magma, and it's actually probably better on the whole because it's self-cleaning. But at the same time, you also have to deal with the fact that magma doesn't pump as well in terms of flow, so you have to wait longer for things to happen and wait longer for the room to be clear. And the incidental problem of heat traps with respect to it heating up a space, and then even if the magma's gone, potentially your dwarves are walking into a danger area. And then there's the necessity to make all of the furnishings magma-proof. Certainly doable. Long term, it might be something you might want to redo for this fortress, but for right now, water. Water, water everywhere. It's kind of like that movie a while back with that bandage-wrapped mummy guy, you know. Whomsoever issues a mandate shall drink from the Nile. But no, we really have actually been fairly fortunate. He doesn't want us to export Warhammers, and this guy doesn't want us to export spears. And as long as they keep demanding Warhammers and spears, we'll keep meeting those needs, no problem. I've got a standing order to make about 30 Warhammers and spears at a time, while we get prepped in terms of a basic civilian militia. As long as they're willing to be reasonable with their demands, I don't get rid of my nobles. I really don't. And typically, I don't bother with something as extravagant as a noble drowning chamber. A bridge will suffice. But, well, it was right there. How could I not? The well was draining right past the spot where we were going to need to put the room. How could I not? I just couldn't. I had to do it. It was a moral imperative, as the show says.
There's a new baby. Quick, get him a
I don't
bottle
care
of
about the new
ale.
baby. Tell me about the new furnishings. That new baby's only of interest to me when he grows into a peasant and immediately gets drafted into the support hauling corps for the rest of his life. Kind of been binge watching Lutin's 40k lore series. It's kind of hard not to see the Imperium of Man in the way that we run our fortress here. Heretics get the magma. Okay, let's check on our coins again here. Yeah. And you can see there's an odd number here. We've started to melt down some of these coins, which is good. That's exactly what we want to have happen. Now, as before, we'll look, and we've started to make more bars, and that's good. Yep. We're getting through these slowly but surely. Now, let's back over here to bars. If this is working properly, we should start to see bars of things that we made coins from and used up all the bars with more bars now than we had before. So, for example, platinum. We made platinum coins, and then we melted them back down, and we started with 2 platinum bars, and we now have 3. And I don't even think we've melted down all of the platinum coins yet. I think there's still a bunch of platinum coins to be melted here. Yeah, there are still 45 of them, so, all of these individual coins still have to be melted. I want to say that each one of them gives us back a bar, so we will be well above the coin minting cycle once these are all done. Iron is a little more problematic because we're consuming so much of it for fortress armaments. The coin cycle is not going to keep up at first until we are well out ahead of it. I'm really looking forward to that aluminum. Aluminum is one of those metals you don't get to use much in your fortress. It'd be nice having aluminum studded everything, wouldn't it? Aluminum flasks for our military. Well, let's see here. Check on our engravers again. Coming along. Still coming along. But they're all off duty now, or except for Sad Boy there. So they're all off free to pursue skill gains. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't honestly think I've ever really... everybody jokes about it, but I don't think I've ever actually built a noble drowning trap. It never really was convenient. Never was motivated. But this arrangement that I always make with this sort of T-shaped set of rooms, and the drainage vents just lent themselves so nicely, because it'll drain into every room simultaneously if we use them that way. It was just, for a moment, there was a stroke of brilliance there. Now, I do need to make sure, yes, that we floor this back up from above. We don't want to give access to the fortress through our water vent. And as soon as those blocks are laid in, we will once again be secure. Technically, we are insecure at the moment. If something came in, it could technically go down that hallway, swimming the whole way, I note, up through this grate, and if it's a building destroyer, destroy the grate and get access to the fill chamber, destroy these hatches and go down to these grates, destroy them, and get access to the fortress. Now, it would require a building destroyer who was motivated to swim underwater, capable of doing so, and then it would be ugly, I think, at that point. So this might seem a little excessive, but there are things out there that are building destroyers and can breathe underwater, so we'd really rather not have, the opportunity to run into one of those in the dining room. On a positive side, with the amount of sparring that we were already getting done, if things go south in our tavern due to a loyalty cascade this time, it's going to be a bloody show. And I don't mean that fist fight bloody, I mean that organ spattering, head exploding bloody. And they are still loading the grates in one at a time. Now, like I said, I don't really expect those to be permanent fixtures in the security sense. A building destroyer would have no problem simply removing them all. That's fine. If a building destroyer spends 3 days out there removing all our grates one at a time, he still can't get through the fortifications on the lower level. So he won't try to enter the fortress, and nothing has really changed at that point. But except that he spent 20 days out there removing grates that don't help him in any way and gives us time to set up for his advance. Or lock him out, you know, whichever. Now, these stockpiles are finally getting on my nerves. We no longer need any of them. We need to figure out what they are doing and get rid of it. Let's see here. Now, the question is, how do you shut it off? Lever somewhere else to block the cart? See, it occurs to me, if you really wanted to get rid of a noble, the proper way to do it is to do something with a simple mine cart that goes barreling down a shaft that's constantly full of, say, lead coins. And then put the switch that releases the mine cart at the end of a long hallway that the mine cart has to travel down. So your noble walks down the mine cart track to the far end, flips the switch, and then starts back, only to be greeted face first by the mine cart coming full at him full of lead coins. Splat! Minecart rolls up the far side, back into its slot, and stops and gets ready for the next guy to pull the lever. If the noble survives, you know, the impact with the minecart, you can always send him back to flip the lever again. Until he, you know, gets tired and winded. Okay, so we've set up... Oh, I need to turn on leather for that thing downstairs as well. We didn't do that. I did cloth, but not leather. We've got cloth downstairs. Weapons and trap components. Let's see, we did armor. Realistically, any of this other stuff... Actually, I'll tell you what, we'll enable that. And we'll set it to take. I don't think we need bars blocks. Okay, so I have a coin stockpile for sure. Unprepared fish is the only food we don't yet have somewhere else. Armor, we are storing our types of armor elsewhere. So I can disable all of those in here and let them be moved elsewhere. If there are any in here. And I don't care what the materials are. Now, weapons, I don't want them here. Weapons and trap components, I need to check to make sure I've got a stockpile for them. Bars and blocks, a stockpile for them, and ammunition for them. Okay. Let's go do that. Let's see what we've got. Food and wood and furniture and coins. And I don't think we built a specific bar block stockpile except for our furnaces where we did this very... Ooh. Wow. Oh, it split them. I must have split them at one point when I did it. Split them into two separate ones. Okay, that's fine. Maybe I did build them separately. Animal stockpile, no, that's not for animal. This is a furniture stockpile of a very specific kind, but we've never needed to turn it on because it didn't matter. We don't really have what we need for this, and that would be sand. This was intended to be sandbag storage so that they would drag the sandbags down here and get them ready for our glass furnaces, and we would do a similar stockpile for the kilns holding only clay, which I haven't actually done, but I guess I can. That stockpile will hold only clay. Which is a type of stone in the game. Other types of clay would be delivered here for use in our kilns. So we've got glass furnaces and kiln materials, and then the bars and blocks for bars for your furnaces get stored right next to the forges. The ores for your smelters get stored right here. That's all taken care of, but we don't actually have anywhere to store the bars and blocks that come out. So this is a block manufacturing area here. Let's go ahead and make this stockpile a bar block stockpile. And that stockpile there is literally right around the things that are producing it. So we can disable metal bars and coal, but we want the other, we can leave the other bars on. We can store them here with the blocks, and I don't care. We're good. Blocks, I don't care what material they are. They're always construction units, so it doesn't matter what they're made out of. They're all get stored the same way. Now, on these stockpiles up here, we do want to go back and make sure that we don't enable coal, or excuse me, potash, ash, pearl ash, and soap. They can now be stored in the other stockpiles. And we also want to make sure that the blocks are turned off, which they are, so that's good. And I don't think we actually have any of those in our fortress, but they're now squared away if we do. I don't remember if it actually requires the coal for this. Give me a second. Yeah, it's only if it needs the fuel to run the kiln. Well, we don't need a fuel. So we can delete that condition, because our magma kilns don't require fuel. And now we will make, in fact, let's do one other thing. Let's make sure that that's at least, say, 40. That way it won't use up the last few logs to make charcoal. May have had charcoal up there further. I think we did in this fort, though. No, we did not. Okay. See, and I've seen people set things up like minecart shotguns and that kind of thing, and that's a little more advanced than I will probably typically would get to bother with. There are simpler methods to deal with most foes, whether that's a cave-in or a drowning trap, magma trap, something. There is something simpler than engineering a minecart shotgun along the way. It becomes kind of a vanity project in a sense, like a giant metal statue on the surface or something. Love that sparring, though. That's good stuff. Means we've got people out there in the civilian corps developing some skills. Demonstrations, and then they go right back to drills. We've got some individual drills along the way. Okay. Are we... Oh, you know what the problem is? I'm an idiot. That's what the problem is. And we'll let them all run the furnaces. Because the melt jobs that are taking so long to get done are taking so long to get done because I had a select group of people operating the furnaces. Now that this is a more general labor for everyone to be done in parallel, since we have all these furnaces specifically for doing this job in parallel, we should see a lot more throughput on our coin jobs. I'm hoping. The goal is that we'll start to see those things get melted down and the bar demand will start to slack, I'm hoping. I'll put that on my list of things that I would love to see at some future date. A search for the manager. At a certain point, when you get to enough standing work orders, it starts to be kind of an issue to determine. Which reminds me, this job here needs to go to the top. These items are always virtuous in terms of meltdown, so making giant iron axe blades is not only valuable from a trade good standpoint, but also incredibly valuable from a they can immediately be melted down without having to split them like coins. The return is not as good. It's like 1.2 bars this way versus like 50 bars the other way, but better than melting down and getting a partial bar back. So those make another avenue by which we can generate meltable objects. But we are now starting to get up there. We have 97 dwarves, and something like 2/3 of our dwarves could have a breastplate or a mail shirt on at the same time, even. Caravan, presumably from our neighboring dwarf settlements. That's good, because we've got stuff to trade. Oh boy, do we ever. And we'll have to check him, because if he is on duty, we may have to have somebody temporarily stand in for him, or else do something to pull him out of his squad and put him off duty momentarily. But that's not a problem for right now. I can deal with that in a second. And we'll take the coin bins over there too. Oops. And then prepared food pots, because we already know that this is a fantastic way to get any excess coinage back when we're done. There we go. We could probably afford to turn up the number we're storing on those as well to make sure we have some additionals around. So we'll run down to the lavish meal job here, still 10 of 10, but we'll change the conditions to say, oh, well, we want at least, in fact, why not? 3,000 meals is fine, we'll be selling them back out the door. And we store them in pots, so that's a lot more space storage than you might think initially. Alright. So now our trade good brigade will drag those out here. Did we set these things to be training areas? Did we? Yes, we did. Did we set the animals to be trained? I don't think we did that part. Nope. I'm noticing no war collars on my dogs. That's got to get stopped. And I believe the hunters have the animal training duty, so when they're not out hunting something specifically, and I'm personally hoping for giant Kia corpses. Well, yes, there's a way. Yes, there's a way to do it fast. No, there's not a way to do it fast and safe. The fastest way you can get them to do it safely is to get them into sparring pairs and have them train. That will get their armor skill up. Because it's not the training so much as it is the combat. And it's still going to be the case that weapon skill goes up faster, as does shield skill. Armor skill requires them to get hit, which does happen when they train, but as their skill with the weapon and the shield gets better, their parries and blocks become so much superior that they, instead of parry, block, dodge, there's a lot of mileage for a dwarf to go without actually taking a hit on his armor. If you look at one of these sparring reports, there's a lot of jump away, block, parried. Here's one lightly tapped right here. Lightly tapping the right lower arm with her foot. So these guys are basically going at it, hand-to-hand combat for my citizens here. And they're practicing their karate with strikes and blocks here. But anytime you see a block, that's going to be shield skill. Anytime you see the weapon, that's going to be weapon skill. So that includes both parries and attacks. The only time they're going to get armor skill is when they get the tap on target. The target will get the armor skill. There's no good way to do it faster. You can do crazy stuff. And by crazy stuff, I mean things like put your dwarf in a small room and drop coins on them. Every hit they take should develop armor skill to a degree. The problem is it's not safe. Even small drops of short distances with light objects can do weird things sometimes in Dwarf Fortress. I don't recommend throwing loose coins at your dwarves. It used to be the case that you would put dwarves in a danger room and you would flip a lever a few times and their skill would max out across the board on everything. You cannot do that anymore. It's not safe. No danger room out there can be engineered in such a way currently that's safe. It describes people using coins for this, but using this, splitting them up like this to get loose coins. You don't want to be throwing stacks around. But then you get all these loose coins into a room and then on a bridge and then flip them up in the air like popcorn, and the dwarves theoretically take hits when they come back down. But it's labor intensive, highly random, prone to setup issues. It's a gimmick. Ick. Actually, we want to elevate our... do we get to activate Aloth here? Let's see. I'll bet we don't get to elect him because he's already a Baron. I'll bet it doesn't let us get away with that little trick. Let's see. It's the other Alath. Yeah, and I don't think I saw him in the list. We'll go back through it, but I don't think I saw him. I don't think we get a chance to use him specifically. That's kind of a shame. We should be able to make him a dual Baron. Don't think this Clothier is our guy. No, he's just a militia captain. It's one of our haulers that got elevated. Well, let's take a look through some dwarves and find ourselves a potentially suitable candidate here. Let's see. Quivers. I don't really want to be roped into making quivers. Bolts, shield, fabric, catapult parts. If it wasn't for the catapult parts, this guy would have gotten elected. Crystal glass, next. Short swords, shields, weapon racks, flasks. If it wasn't for the short swords, I won't use them. Helms, tables, and the color dark peach. Can you melt down furniture? Betting you can't. If we can, okay, so there's a 33% return on tables, which isn't ideal, but, you know, that's okay. We can melt down the tables we don't use. So our doctor here likes talc, which we don't care about, black bronze, which we do have some and will generate more of, star ruby, which if it ever comes up is just going to get him bridged immediately, giant armadillo leather, which again, bridged immediately, muskoff hoof, helms, tables, and the color dark peach. So helms and tables are things we can generate. If he mandates that we make tables, or excuse me, if she mandates that we build tables or helms, again, this is kind of like making spears and warhammers. I am down with that. We will be making lots of those anyway. And once we've made a bunch of them, we can melt down the poor quality ones and make more. So, this is good. This is a good choice. This doctor here, Libash, might be a good choice. Let's see who else we might be able to throw in here. Let's look through the haulers here. Traction benches. Ooh, fun. Oh, looky there. Likes coins. Likes coins and tin. Don't think we can make stuff out of gypsum, so depending on how crazy he gets about wanting stuff made out of gypsum or shell, this guy could end up with an unfortunate barony incident, but I'm okay with that. We can do coins. Asen normal Bardom. Support hauler. I am okay with coins. Asen. Let's find Asen in the list here. There we go. Nice recommendation for this guy. Give us a coin wanting Baron. That would be awesome. What requests do we have? We want all your metal bars. We want every metal bar you can possibly stick in your wagon, and then all of the metal bars you can carry, and then all the metal bars your draft animals can carry, and then everything you can drag behind you as you walk. Okay. And we'll take all of your gems, too, because we can do stuff with those later. We're not doing it right now. If we had a sand industry, we would have already started our gem industry, but alas, no. Okay, and then you don't have any interesting seeds to give us, so we don't care about that. Let's see here. What else can you bring us that we care about? Cloth. We want lots of your cloth. Oh, and leather. We need leather. Specifically, we want the usual, farm leathers. Dog, cat, mule leather, donkey, horse, cow, sheep, pig, goat, chicken, goose, llama. I don't really care. These are all different. It'd be ideal if they were all my leather, but I'll take these because they're cheap, readily available. That's good stuff. Now let's see what else we got here. For pets, again, we're bringing in replacement animals, so I don't care about the cats this time. Mules are just meat on the hoof. Sheep and rams and pigs and boars. Any excess get butchered down, remember, we don't have to worry about that. So bring them in, harvest them down. It's a-okay with me. Need to get our bird area set up. We never have done that. Now that I'm looking through this list. We can do that now. Okay, extracts, milks in particular. Oops. Take dwarven syrup if they want to bring us some, I guess. Problem with dwarven syrup is they tend to prefer solid ingredients, and unless that's been fixed, I don't think it has, so they'll never use the syrup. It'll just sit in our stockpile forever. Alright. And you can just bring any thread you have. We'll take any regular spider silk. We don't care about the giant spider silk. That's just an extravagance. We'll take all your sandbags and you bring. And we'll take all the cloth you can bring us. And I think that'll get it. And of course, he's going to overcharge us like a mofo for anything we wanted. That's good. Bring it on. And he's going to pay us double for cut gems, which we wouldn't export. Large gems we might export, but I wouldn't bother trying to make them. Shields is something I keep, and all the rest of this stuff is either not valuable or just stuff we wouldn't export. Bummer. So it's coins and coin breakdown and other good stuff for him. Bring out your mugs. Bring out your mugs. 9 pence. But it's definitely true that our coins do not want to go on the cart. Whoops. All right, let's rob this caravan blind. And by that I mean give them a bunch of food and take their good stuff in exchange. Look at all these bars. Okay, so even trading everything, we can't quite get all the good stuff we want. Oh, well, they haven't delivered my coins yet. That's why. Yeah, I'm okay with that. They haven't finished delivering my goodies yet. Bring on the trade goods. Oh, one step closer to eternal slavery in our fortress. It's kind of funny, really. We're running our fortress, or we tend to run our fortress like we're dark dwarves out of the Forgotten Realms, you know. A life of eternal slavery and service to the greater state here. So let's see. Did they bring all the coins? Probably not the ones that need to be melted. Okay, good. So let's record ourselves a cheap little macro here. Record. Enter. Backspace, backspace, backspace. 1. Enter. Down. And we can repeat this a few times. Oh, schnuck. I screwed that up. Let's try this again. That was not good. I meant to stop the macro before I actually left the screen. That was a quick way to clear the screen so I could check the macro real fast, but I didn't do it right, so we can do it again. Record that macro all over again. Now that we've done this right, it should be possible to play back the macro and quickly trade one of every coin in that bin. And then go up and trade it for, say, a Bitsmith Bronze Bar, figure out he's going to be 35 bucks down, trade him for, say, that thing there for a little sweetener, and presto. Now they have a bunch of single coins in a stack here that we can bring back later on for not a huge amount of cost. We'll repeat that a few times, again splitting single coins off the stack repeatedly. Now this is a little fiddly, but like I said, we're using this to generate metal, so we're cheating it a bit here, and it's kind of fiddly because, well, it's a pain. I don't know if the discs multiply. I'd have to double check. I know the axe blades do. Let me pull it up and take a look. So I thought the trap components differed. So the discs do generate more, but the axe blades give you a better return on investment. I use discs for my traps and axe blades for ore multiplication. And yeah, the catch is that you can't make axe blades or other trap components out of electrum or platinum or rose gold. They can only be made out of weaponable metals, which is great if what you're looking to make is a weaponable metal. But if you're looking to have other metals on hand, say for decorative purposes or whatever, coins is an easy way to get there without having to stress out too much. Everybody can make coins. Additionally, metal crafting is a creative skill, so by spreading out the coin manufacturing across our entire fortress, we get lots and lots of metal crafters who are effectively all making 50 bars of metal every time we take the time to break a stack down a little bit. Now, I think I'm going to save myself a headache as I've noticed a small inefficiency in this. It requires me to record the macro one more damn time, but I'm going to do it. Because if I do it, I can make it reset the cursor location. Damn it, I hit Shift Enter at some point in that. Let's try this again. Did it again. You'd think I'd get better at this, but apparently my fingers are really extra fat tonight. So the other thing you get out of doing it with coins that you don't get out of doing it with say, for example, axe blades or serrated discs. Like it works with everything, right? But you can also do it with steel, just like you did with the serrated discs. It's a little more fiddly, I grant. I am willing to admit. If you want to avoid some of the headache and you'd like to run through bigger stacks of coins in one go, the easiest way to do it is to avoid putting your coins in bins, temporarily at least, before you trade them. If the coins are brought with no bins, you just have giant rows of coins. It takes a lot more hauling labor, though, of course, to do it that way, and that can be an issue. But there, we've got 30 different coins off these guys, so let's go ahead and buy some of those back now. And he wants 744 coins worth of stuff to get our coins back, so we're going to sell him some more coins. And a handful of these Masterwork mugs here. Some other stuff as a sweetener here. Well, okay, fine, but we're going to take all your steel bars and your aluminum bars while you're at it. We'll renegotiate the price here in a second, but I want all your steel and all your aluminum. Take your platinum too. I think platinum is relatively valuable, as I recall. Actually, I can kind of spot them by price. Steel's 285 and aluminum is 389. What the? Oh, that's the gems. And that's where the gems start. So that's all the important ones. There. Now that he's all nice and ecstatic. Now you'll notice that when we trade them back, the coins vanish from our list. There is no single coin anywhere in this list. I can look. But all the single coins disappear. Since the traders do not offer at least one dwarf buck for the item, it will never appear in the trading list, meaning you can trade them single coins, but once you trade them back, they are of no value to the trader any longer, and they vanish completely from your list. A few minutes of running a macro like this will gain you a 5,000% return on investment in terms of bars invested. And that, yes, that's 5,000% return. 50 bars per one. Now you got to take it all the way out to its logical conclusion with the macros, and it is kind of fiddly. And he wants some more to get rid of those. Oh, got to get rid of our search here. And we'll hand him some more prepared food to take all his metal away. We'll swap that one for that one. Ought to be about right. There we go. Now we've got all his metal bars. And I don't need all his gems. I'm not super worried about those. But I do want these animals if I can get them, because that's either meat or produce. And we'll take the last of that leather off his hands too while we're at it. because leather is dirt cheap. Makes it really useful for my coin splitting purposes. And as I recall, he's got some of our coins down here. Let's get those back. Okay, make sure he's not leaving with any coins. We want to be careful of that from now on because we have a potential baron who will decide that coins need to be made and that they can't leave the fortress. They're not particularly valuable as trade goods. Their real value to us is really in their metal production. Switch all that off. Go back up to our pasture space here. Designate all the new acquisitions. Drop down to our dog space. Pull in the dogs. Go, and the dogs will be delivered and trained. And we'll slap the kennel in right there. So here's the thing, Spewer. I am doing it in probably the worst way possible. So let's talk about coin trading for a moment. If I was serious about doing it, you don't build a macro for the whole list. You build a macro for, say, 2 coin stacks at a time. And you build up an enormous number of stacks of coins. You don't just build up a handful. You build up a huge number. Close by the depot, loose stored, not in bins. When they're delivered to the depot, you end up with one giant smear of coin stacks. Now, your macro only loads 2 of them individually at a time, but you don't have it returned to the top of the list. So you trade 2 with the macro every time you hit Control-P to play the macro back, but you just hold it down and run through the list. And it runs down through them all and trades 1 coin off each one. And then you buy a couple stacks of leather or whatever the cheapest things are. Even if you're trading a large number of stacks, if you're only trading 1 coin at a time, it's going to be pretty inexpensive. If you want to be a little more efficient about it, set it up to trade 10 stacks of 10 at a time. I think that's the maximum you can really get out of it. Let's see if it's... pull up the list here and see if it's been changed. But it used to be, yeah. So if you do coins in a stack of 1... So relative output here. The good stuff is 150%. That's leggings if you can make them out of metal, but I don't think you can make leggings out of metals. Single bolts of ammunition is a 250% return. It's hard to make single bolts unless you use them in training, and that means you're burning bolts up on the targets as well. Giant axe blades and menacing spikes and enormous corkscrews rank in at 150%. Spiked balls and discs go a little lower. Buckets are pure break-even, meaning if you melt a bucket, you get exactly back what you put into it. A few other things are like that. If you melt an entire stack of 500 coins. It's only a 1.1, that is to say 110% return on investment. If you melt down a stack of 1 each, and you go through the whole stack that way, it's a 5,000% return on investment. That's crazy. I mean, 50 bars per one you put in. That's 50 bars back per stack of coins. Per stack of 500. And you really don't have to get anywhere near that level of crazy to get a better return out of it. If you melt down a few of the coins out of each stack periodically, you're going to generate metal. Now let me think about this. There's a way to... We don't want to group anything. We do want to search for coin. And doing it this way, I believe we only get... If you look for the ones that say coin as opposed to coins. We can then... And I'm trying to think if there's a way to limit them down to... just the single coin, and I don't think there is, which is a shame. But in job, because it's either being melted or it's being tasked to be delivered back. So this will tell you where all they are in the where all the coins in the fortress are. These J's are probably coming back. The O there is owned, meaning somebody collected that coin. Yay for him. Not sure who collected a coin and why, but they now have an Electrum coin. Macro to the rescue. Play back the macro. Run down the list. Hold down the key. Wait. We can melt the big stacks. We still get a positive return on investment on stacks. Not as much as we do for the individual coins. We still get a positive return on investment. Oops. Went a little far. Have to go back. Stop. Wow. May have held that down a little long. Okay, and we know that based on what we're going to melt down, we at the very least get an additional tenth of a bar back on everything we smelt. Even if we're not melting the individual coins, we know we're getting at least that much back. So it's really down to, do we want to put the effort in to get the additional stacks, to get the additional bars, to get the cycle started? Because remember, once that cycle kicks off, oh yeah, it's vampire hunting time. Okay, apparently the vampire's really pissed that we decided to throw him into the volcano, so we'll memorialize him somewhere, I guess. What's a good spot? Oh, I know. The ass end of a mine corridor. Yes, that will work nicely. And we'll get that rock slab done post haste. I don't like using the now thing, but we need somebody to do it, and we need it, well, now. Now, I wish there was a way to show the inverse of a filter. People who don't have the filter. Because I'm betting the 80 dwarves who have either a dining room or a drink with no mugs complaint. $84 if I include drink. Huh, how about that? One dwarf does not have dining room, no mug, or meal. Only one of these guys doesn't have one of those thoughts. How about that? So now, in theory, I could have Dwarf Fortress tell me which one of them it is. I want to see if there's a way to inverse this without having to nickname them all. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is a way to do that. Yeah, there is. It's kind of roundabout, but there is a way. The vampire is the one dwarf in the fortress who still has jobs to do. Olin Adselin, come on down. Looks like our mayor might actually be a naughty dude. Shame on him. Let's see here. Has he got the dining room? Saw a fine table. This might not be our guy. But he did see a dead body. So we're gonna have him checked out, and we'll see. We're gonna interrogate some of these visitors too, because we can. Let's see, where was... Hold on. Thinking we probably won't get much out of the animals, though. Tempting though it might be to interrogate them. Thinking that probably won't be really useful. Well, am I just missing him in the list? Oh, it's Olin. That'll be why I'm missing him in the list. We'll start there. Oh, he's got the goblin, bringing him in for an interrogation. He ain't gonna know anything, but maybe he's down for... Maybe he's involved in something else. You never know. All right, grab the mayor. Let's talk it over. Damn goblin comes to my fort. You never know. He might be involved in something. He might have confessed it all. He's got the mayor in tow. Let's see how it goes. See if maybe the mayor knows something. How about that? He's a guilty. Wowza. Shame to lose a legendary +2 Smith, but he's too much trouble to keep around. Congratulations, sir. You just got promoted to the Bridge Bait Squad. Not only are you now the sole member of the Bridge Bait Squad, but you are, in fact, the militia captain of the Bridge Bait Squad. Yes, you are. And what prize do we have for him, Al? We have a one-way trip to the entrance of the fortress. And once he's there, We'll extend his final destination. Yep, that's the one. Good, clean fun. And our lucky winner will be along here momentarily to claim his prize. Which reminds me, I do want to check that this squad does not, in fact, have a uniform. There we go. Just want to make sure any items he's taken with him aren't actually Fortress property. Hey man, glad to have you. Whole point is to teach folks Dwarf Fortress tips and tricks and maybe raise a little money for sick kids while we do it. Put our broker back on broker duty. Don't care about the baby. Do care about where my squad is and why it's not standing right here. And for that matter, why our bridge hasn't been re-extended. Entire fortress has the lever job, I think. Ah, no they don't, because we temporarily disabled all the laborers because we were allowing people to find our vampire forest. All right, now that we've got our jobs back on, someone should come along and flip that lever. Actually, let's check that. Now what I notice is, yeah, it's been a while. Nobody's complaining about bars. There's a bit of a switch over, so it may take us a minute, but I think when we started melting stuff down, we gave ourselves back a bunch of iron bars. Likewise, we're up to 6 platinum bars, and we didn't start with 6, we started with 2. And we probably haven't melted all the coins yet. Needless to say, if I had gone through and melted all the coins down, we would have done the coin jobs we have stacked up for all of them. The engraving continues.
There is a migrant.
You there, stop that singing. Yes, we know there are migrants.
New set of group arrived. Let's get them sorted. It doesn't look like they have anything super valuable to us in terms of skills. It would be nice if I could select him from the overall focus category and figure out where he fell into here. I'd like to know why he just arrived, so he's arrived badly distracted. Okay, well, that's cute and all, but Well, I guess the carpenters are getting out of hand. Now there's two of them. And since we have a new group, but we don't have to add either one of these. We're good. See, normally the only gem industry I'll do in bulk is glass, and since we have no sand on site, we're not going to do a bulk gem industry this time out. And tell our little guy to move right on out there to the end of the bridge. Come on now, you can do it. We had problems last time too. I may have to rebuild this bridge. Can I get him to station there? You gonna do it? No, it's not far enough out. Need to make it longer, because he can't station quite close enough to it. There he goes. He's gotten over his fear and stationed in the appropriate location. He is ready for launch, boys and girls. It is time. And we mark the lever for his final departure. Everybody wave goodbye to the mayor now. Okay, seriously, what are you guys doing here? It's a lever. Every dude in the fortress can pull it. Every single dude in the fortress will pull that lever. can't commit it because everybody already was assigned to pull the lever. So, yeah, somebody, please. For the love of all that's holy, pull the lever. I'm starting to think we're going to have to designate a noble whose only job is to flip switches on demand. I think we have the world's slowest lever puller assigned to the job. Check it out. Here he goes. Any day now. Guy probably moved off the bridge. He did. Frack. Well, we'll just solve this with a bit of the old repeat lever application. Sooner or later, he'll be in the right spot at the right time. It won't let him station there if the space disappears. Ugh, bummer. Okay, so this won't be quite as easy as we'd hoped. And we may have to rebuild the bridge to make it more effective. That's kind of a shame. Turn off the repeat. They'll put the bridge back out. First time was much, much smoother. Thinking the length of our bridge is really an issue here. So after we put this one to use, get our dwarf to station back out there where we need him. And let's just monitor him out there for a minute. Is he going to go all the way out this time? Nope. See, I want to say they have to be within 3 squares, and all 3 of these tiles are within 3 squares of this one by movement. So our problem is the bridge is just a little too short. But if we give it a minute, he'll station where we need him.
Sir, I've gotten an idea.
Please don't get an idea.
Hey, let me see it.
No, never mind.
Come on, don't make me bridge you the old-fashioned way.
I claim this workshop in the name of invention!
Okay, so this is taking way, way more trouble than it is worth. Way, way more. So, plan B is we eliminate him through creative use of a different lever. Namely, it should be the case that this lever over here is the drain for our noble room. Perfect. We'll yank that lever, ladies and gentlemen, and then he'll have a much bigger area to station in, and we'll station him in it and yank the lever again. Because that will open up this big room down here, and I promise you, once he's in the big room down there, we can solve our problems. All our problems. If you would just step on the bridge, this could have been over in an instant. Now we're going to get creative. And the dwarf on the farthest side of the fortress who's destined to pull the lever is... Okay, and now he should be moving along to where we need him. Actually, probably should wait just a second for him to get into position. And he'll pass through the noble's quarters, into the drain system, and
The
move into the area
mandate's
we need him in. And we will quickly reset this thing a couple of times. Come on, Slowpoke the purple, get over here and flip our lever. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, Slowpoke the purple. We gotta find out what job that guy is doing and get somebody else to do this job. Like, for real. Hey, look, a goblet. But I don't care about a goblet. I care about this lever getting flipped sometime this millennia. This guy. I don't know who this guy is, but he's either older than dirt or badly injured in some way. And presto! Our dwarf is having a problem, but he's not out yet, boys and girls. No, no, He is still amongst the living, so we have got to solve our problem. And how do we solve our problem, boys and girls? That's right, with a repeat application of bridge justice.
The mandate's over.
Oh, and there it is. No more problem. And they'll come along momentarily to pull the lever back up, but there is really nothing left of this discussion. That problem has been resolved. And our broker is now the mayor. No more vampire. Now, let's fix that other problem we keep having. Namely, if this bridge is too short, we need to make it longer, so we can station them appropriately and get the magma justice we're all craving. Oh, that's right. Here's the combat results of him smashing off the... When we flipped the bridge the first time, he was standing on it, so it spun him in the air and smashed him into the ground. So he split his left hand open, and then deflected most of the rest of the impact on the cloak, and then stood up, and then got crushed by the bridge when it came back down. Because it doesn't show us that part of the log. So someone should be along momentarily to strip this bridge away, and we'll just build it out longer and see if that doesn't fix our drop problem. And next what we'll do is we'll build a small pathway that goes all the way around with the intent that we can let people onto that small pathway and still give them access to the fort when we want to deal with... Somebody do a mandate when I wasn't... I heard something. What was that noise? Must have been my imagination. We're good. Alright, a giantess. Sadly, we don't really have a good way to fight her at the moment, so it's everybody indoors and we're sealing up. Militia is still not significantly trained yet, I don't believe. No, a smattering of fighting skills here and there, and nothing of any significance that would let us fight a giant in melee combat by any means. Now, at this point, everybody should be headed for the fortress entrance, who is outside, if there is anyone. I'm gonna have to look at that. It looks like maybe there might have been a missing ceiling there. It looks like the giantess is off after our guy there. Did he? Well, it looks like he has evaded her into the fortress. I'm not sure how he managed to pull that one off, but we're gonna let it go. And in the time it takes our dwarves to flip one of three, that's right, any one of three levers, none of which got flipped, the giantess makes it into the fortress. Despite stalling on the entrance for some time, our dwarves are so slow to get here to flip levers that it's crazy. Going to dedicate a lever puller in future. because that dude is extra dead. And all 100 dwarves rush the giantess. Wow, what a... And they're probably going to pull the lever now and crush half the military. All 3 lever jobs started after they were no longer necessary. And we're gonna snag our guy here. We killed somebody here. We gotta make sure we can bury our corpse. Yep, he's doing good there. How about this guy over here? What is that? Oh, it's a warhammer, which was used to kill somebody. Probably this giantess right before he lost control of it. Alright, so let's see. No, the giantess brought it with her. That's her silver warhammer. So it's a giantess with a silver warhammer came to play. And beat the hell out of the first couple of guys. Well, no, I take it back. This is just one guy. Until she killed a hauler and then lodged the hammer. And once she lodged the hammer, it was over. Because they showed up with axes at that point, and she did not defend herself well. And then they stabbed her, lodged axes, lodged spears. And then it's all parries and misses. Gives into pain, falls over, and then it's just headshots from then on in. Headshot, 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 until they finally get the spear in. So she did okay against that first guy, but after that they showed up in mass, and then it's just blah, dodge, dodge, dodge all day long. Won't somebody go rescue the dude who's laying out there in the front hallway bleeding to death, please? Please. Take your silver warhammer and reassign it to a proper militia. And somebody can dump the giantess's corpse. That would be nice too. Oh. Well, that's why he's tasked and why they're complaining, because they're all still on the burrow. Remember, the burrow stops at the bridge because I don't want them to get crushed when they're trying to pick up a stone off it or something. So right now they're all assigned to the burrow, and that's our problem. Now, unassigned, all those tasks can be done properly, and someone will come along and clean them up. If a job you need to be done isn't being done, rest assured, it's a safe bet that you've screwed something up. That's how Dwarf Fortress works. I see the problem here that let our giantess get in, by the way. We punched a hole through the ceiling and let people climb down. We didn't want to do that. This row of ramps here is in the wrong place. If we brought it up like we originally intended to, it's right down here by the entrance. It's too far. I wanted to bring it out. But we left the ramps and never closed off the ceiling, so the giantess could climb in. Womp, 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 womp. Get our bridge removed and replaced with a longer version. Get the jobs resumed on our walk-around path. Well, you know, I really wasn't planning on having a second Baron in the place. I'm not really going to have the appropriate noble disposal quarters for the second guy. And I don't really think we can do another one like we did the first one, because it takes too long to fill it. Hell, our pond dried up. We took too much water out of it. If it wasn't for the fact that we have more water in our well than we will ever need, I might be concerned about that fact. So if I was a really creative dwarf and I wanted to get back to doing things the old-fashioned way, I'd have to pump the water out of the caverns to refill our ponds so that we can refill our catch basin. But I don't really want to build a pump stack, so we're not going to do that. And we want to be careful here with these because we do not want to melt down the masterwork axe blades. This is the real problem with using metal trap components for your melt. At some point, your skilled crafters become so good, they start cranking out nothing but masterworks, and you can't melt those down to get the metal back out of them. So here we created, what is this, 10, and we're only going to be able to melt down 7, which is only going to get us back 8 bars. Maybe 9. I'd have to look and see how the rounding works for us here. I've got plenty of hematite just laying around, so I've queued up. I'm going to queue up 50 unconditional smelt hematite jobs in the hope that we can get a bunch more bars cranked out all at once. Lord knows we've got the ore for it. Now, the only downside to having a coin-loving Baron is that he won't let us actually export any of them, so we have to make sure that when we're using the coin meltdown trick that we get a bunch of our coins back. But again, it looks like we're doing okay on bars for the moment. Nobody's complaining about bars. Looks like we need to run another melt cycle down. Bismuth bronze. We started with 2, I think, or 3 bars, maybe 5. We're up to 8 now, and I don't think we bought any more from the trader. Aluminum. Let's see. We started with 2. We're up to 6. Now we did buy a couple from him, but I think that gave us an extra bar, so we bought 3 and we had 3. So I believe we've gained a bar there. We're slowly but surely creeping these things up, and remember, you can't make weapon parts out of most of these things. So coins is pretty much our next best choice. And we'll get those coins minted down for reprocessing. Well, I'd say this dwarf right here is about to be extra super special mega dead. What with being a whole 10 squares away from the were-elephant and all. Now, were-beasts of any sort deserve their own special consideration and handling, so this makes a fantastic time for us to knock off for the evening, seeing as how we're coming in on our 3-hour time right about now. So on day 13, lucky day 13, mind you, we will deal with a were-elephant on stream. This is probably going to involve the quarantine or elimination of several dwarves. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get real ugly. So tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll try to resolve this problem. Now, for those of you who might just be joining us for the first time, the entire purpose of doing this is twofold. We want to help you learn how to play Dwarf Fortress effectively and efficiently. And at the same time, we do want to try and raise some money for sick kids, which is what this little counter down here in the bottom left is. The entire month of October and the first week of November, I do 37 days of Dwarf. Every single day, dwarves. Every single day. On 11/6, November 6th this year, at 8 a.m. Eastern, we will begin a 24-hour live stream, and I will start a new fortress at that point, and I will stream contiguously for 24 hours straight while you all watch me build a fortress from scratch. If you can't make it out or you're catching these on repeat, please feel free to come out and join us for the big game day on 11/6. We'd love to have you out. Since we hit all time zones, we'd love to see you. And in the meantime, if you can help the sick kids, folks, that's what we're here for. Feel free to donate to Extra Life down there at the bottom. All right. Now, we'll knock off for the evening, but before I go, if you have any questions, feel free to throw those into chat and I'll get them answered. And I'll see if there's not somebody else out there playing Dwarf Fortress we can loose you maniacs upon. Just looks like the one out there tonight, so we're gonna have to do that one. Alright, guys. Good luck and have fun. I'll see you back tomorrow night.